Sports Club live stream, guys. Nice to see you all again. And I am here with a really exciting new game for you today. I've realized, looking at my views for previous streams that I was doing over the summer and stuff, the ones that keep getting the same views over and over again are my arcade games. Everyone seems to like these old classic arcade games. I especially like them because this is how I first got into video games way back in 1979, 1980, when I was just starting high school. Is when the first arcade games started to appear in the world, and like Asteroids and Space Invaders and some of these other classic games, they all come from that era around 1979, 1980. And I would sneak into the arcades like crazy, trying to put my quarters into these games, and I was hooked on them. And that started a whole life of interest in technology. I'm all about teaching kids technology because that's how I learned myself, right? By playing games and having fun and realizing that technology was cool. And that got me into learning a lot of useful stuff that helped me out in my career a lot. So I want to go back to these arcade games. So this week it's Space Invaders. I taught you guys Space Invaders way back in, I believe, April, but it was a very, very primitive version of the game. It was just kind of to teach you guys a little bit about Scratch. This week we're revisiting Space Invaders, but we are doing a pro MLG version of Space Invaders that I think will really, really impress you guys a lot. It's pretty close to the original version. I actually, in the video that's going to be released at 11 o'clock here, I'm going to show you guys side by side what this looks like compared to the arcade game. And it's so close that if you squint, you might not be able to tell that it's a different game. Let's give you guys a look right now. Let's go over to here. All right, so here's my finished Space Invaders file. We're not going to be building the whole game today in part one. It's probably going to be about 3 parts or so. It's quite a large game. Today we're just going to get our characters moving and get the enemies moving as well. But I'm pretty excited about what we've got going here. Kian's asking, is there a starter file? Yes, there is a starter file for this Space Invaders project, but we're not building it right now at this moment. It's being released at 11 o'clock, and you can follow the file there. I will, in the description for the file and on my website, you'll have the starter file for that anyway. I just wanted to give you guys a quick look at this, just to give you a sense of what we're working on here. It's pretty fantastic, I think. So let's click on it and get going here. So you can see there's multiple levels of monsters. These are all the original graphics and sounds from the original Space Invaders games. I've got destructible shields as well, and different scores for the different guys. And it's just looking really, really sharp. You can see here that the music's getting faster and faster the more we play. And the score, there I just got a UFO. The score is being rendered using a rendering engine instead of just using the default Scratch variables, which is a pretty nice touch, I think, as well. This plays very, very close to the original. I have an emulated version of the original Space Invaders at home, and this plays pretty close to it. I'm getting the same kind of scores on this that I get on my original Space Invader. Let me just kill myself here, and you'll see what happens when I die. There we go. There's my explosion graphic. All right, so that is what's on tap for you guys today in my weekly game tutorial. It's being released at 11 o'clock. I just want to say hi to everyone out there in TV land. So Gamer Davy's online here today, and Kian's online today. Kian, you probably you still don't have a microphone, do you? Probably not. And Davey, if you want to say hello, you can chime in on the chat. Thane's here he's in Tennessee this week. He's traveling. Hi, Davey. Nice to see you again. So, sorry. Hi, Thane. How you doing? So you're traveling this week, huh?
It's nice to see you.
Yeah, so it's really cool that you're able to talk to us while you're out on the road like this anyway. So you having a fun time while you're away?
Yeah, we went kayaking, we went to farm.
Really nice.
Yesterday, it was really fun.
Nice. Anyway, so it's nice that you can actually still stay with us even when you're out away from home. So that's fantastic, dude. Davey, I hear that you are working on a remix of my RPG game. Is that right?
Yes, but I didn't finish yet.
But it's not quite done. Are you adding some new features to it, or doing something interesting with it at all, dude?
No.
No, just kind of. Are you
Just changing up the map and other stuff.
Yeah, are you adding Nintendo characters to it? I'd be disappointed.
I'll be doing that part at the end.
Oh, okay. I'd be disappointed if this didn't have Nintendo characters in it in the end, because that's kind of your MO, buddy. Okay, so let's. Yeah, you've seen that. You've seen that too, Thane. Yeah. Okay, guys. So let's get going with some stuff here. I showed you the. I just showed you the Space Invaders file, and it's ready to go. Basically, there is a starter file, and you'll find it. You'll find the links to it, and all the graphics and stuff like that are all ready to go. It's quite a good tutorial. I think it's one of my stronger tutorials that I've done so far. So please, I'd encourage you guys to check it out when it gets released at 11 o'clock. Today, we got a couple of things to do. I'm going to teach you guys a little bit about video sensing. I don't know if any of you have ever used the video camera on your computers to work with Scratch. Has anyone done that before? Anyone?
No, I can't. I don't have a video on.
Oh, you don't have a camera?
Video on my computer.
But I just saw your face, buddy. No. I just saw your face on the laptop. You must.
No, I'm on a laptop, not my computer.
Okay. Anyway, you could code this anywhere you want and then play it on your laptop if you want to, dude. Anyone else, Davey or Kian? Have you ever done anything with video sensing before? No, probably not. So I've been wanting to teach this to you guys for a while, but every time I try, like when I try to get it set up, the camera messes up on me because I'm using the camera to live stream to you guys, but I can't use the camera for two things at once. So what ends up happening is because the camera's tied up on my live streaming software, Scratch just breaks when I try to use the video camera on it. So what I did for you guys this week is I put together a little lesson and I pre-taped it so that I could teach you guys about video sensing without having to use my camera. So if you guys hang tight, I'm going to show you that right now. I do have a file for you to use if you want to have a look at what I'm working on. I'm going to paste it into the chat here. It is right here called Motion Sensing Demo. So if you want to have a look at the actual code that I'm working on here, let me grab the file for you and I'll paste it into the chat for you guys. I'll put this into Ask Mr. T here in the Discord chat as well. All right, so go ahead and follow along if you like. I'm going to play this video for you right now, and you can get a sense of how this all works. Okay, hang tight. Hey guys, if I look a little different here, it's because I'm in Scratch. Yay for me! This is something I've been wanting to show you guys for a long time, which is the video sensing function in Scratch. It's a very cool thing, but the thing that's been stopping me from teaching it to you guys is that it uses the camera, and so while I'm streaming, my camera is already in use, and every time I try to run this in Scratch, it ends up just not working properly because the camera can't be used for two different things at once. So I'm pre-recording this little lesson just to teach you guys how this. Yeah, you can't hear the video, dude. Block of the week. It's called video. Sorry, you'll probably when video motion. Yeah, you'll probably have to hear it on. You'll probably have to hear it on YouTube. I think it's not working on Discord. Cool games where you are a character in the game. So let me show you how this works. So to get access to these blocks, these are some add-on blocks. You can get to them down here from the bottom left of your screen, as always. And we'll click here on the add-ons function. There's one block, option here called video sensing. Click on that, and you'll have these brand new blocks set up here that are all related to video sensing. So the one we're talking about today especially is when video motion is greater than a certain amount. And what that does is it measures the amount of movement on the screen on top of the sprite that you are currently programming. I'm programming my cat right now. You can see that I've got two different costumes for him, a smiling one and a not smiling one. And I'm going to use video sensing to make that all work. So the to get this working, first of all, you have to turn your camera on. There's actually a block here that will turn your video off and turn your video back on again, just like that. There's also a video transparency function. I've got my transparency at 0 right now, but we can change this around a little bit so we can see a little bit of the background. For example, like this. Here's the 50% transparency, and now I can see the background that I've got going here. I'm going to leave it at 0 right now because that seems to work well for this particular game. And so let's just get everything set up here. I've got my guy going into his first costume, and here I'm telling it when video motion is over a certain number. Now this number is one that you can play around with, and I can't tell you the perfect settings because it just has to do with how much motion has to be on top of the sprite. Let me show my cat sprite here. So how much motion do I have to put on top of it? Like how much of a change in the video underneath here has to happen before Scratch actually responds to it. So what if this number is set for something that's too low, it'll end up being very sensitive. So if I go to something like 5, for example, here, I'm just going to have it play a sound right now. So here's a laughing sound that I made up in Scratch. Here you can hear it. Now, I'm going to have it laugh. I'm going to put my headphones on so I can hear the audio better. Sorry about that. All right. Can the sound play? Yeah, there we go. Okay. So if this video's motion number is too low here, then it's going to be triggered even when I get a little bit too close to it. You see, you can see that subtle changes on the green screen behind are triggering it, right? So it's such a subtle difference that you can't even see it on the screen, but just me moving my hand around close to it is triggering it. Now, let's attach the rest of the blocks here so you can see some animation too. So what's happening here is I'm having him switch to the smiling costume, and then saying that tickles, and then switching back to his regular costume again. So I'm going to set this number a little bit higher now to when video motion is greater than 40. That seems to be a good number for me. So now you can see when I move close to it, nothing's happening. It's actually when I move my hand over the sprite that he says that tickles. Kind of cute. There we go, Scratch. That's funny. All right, so we can use this in video games, guys, and I want to show you just a quick example of how to use that in video games. I'm going to hide this character again and turn off his code. Let's get this soccer ball visible here. So let me show you the code that I have going here. Let's reattach this so this is going. So I've got a soccer ball on the screen here. Actually, I'm just going to reattach this to the green flag so I can just get it running. I don't need the space bar going here anymore. So this program's going to start running when I click the green flag. I have a variable here called going up, which is just going to basically stop this script here is just bringing the ball down. It's making it fall down the screen at a speed of 5, but only if this variable called going up is set to 0. So whenever we touch the thing, when our video motion's over a certain number, we're going to break out of this loop because the variable is going to switch to 1. We set going up to 1 as soon as that video motion gets sensed. And then we get into this repeat loop here where the ball goes up. Now, instead of just having it go up by a speed of 10 or whatever like that, I've got a variable here that's making it go up. So it's going to go up at a speed of 20, and then as it comes around the loop, it's going to slow down. It's going to go 20, 19, 18, 17, and that's going to make it look more like a realistic ball bounce, where it's faster at first, and then it slows down as gravity starts to function again. And then at the end of it, this variable is going to go back to 0 again, which of course is going to make this script start working again and start bringing the ball back down again. All right, that's a lot of explaining. Let me just show you what this looks like, guys. So when I click the green flag, let's max this out. When I click the green flag, the ball starts to drop, but when I move my hand over, whoop, every time I touch it, it goes bouncing back up again. Very cool. So you could use this to make all kinds of games. You could have a game where stuff was falling off the screen. You could have kind of a tennis-style game where you were bouncing a ball back and forth with each other, or a game where you were trying to stop someone from scoring on you. Now the only problem is it's video motion of any kind, so it wouldn't necessarily be your hand. I could use my head to do this as well. You can see. And so to play these games properly, you're going to have to stay very still and just use your hands for the motion in your game, basically. It's a fun little feature, and I just wanted to show this to you guys. It's really, really cool. Notice, I just wanted to show you while I'm here that my video is backwards, right? And that's the way that it's automatically set up inside Scratch here. I don't think there's a way to fix that, to flip the video around. So you're going to have to learn to live with that. You can, inside your camera settings, flip the view around, but that's a little advanced for some of you guys, and I wouldn't really worry about it that much. The idea is that it's mirrored so that my right hand is actually on the right-hand side. Otherwise, it would, even though the image here would be unflipped, it would feel a little weird to you guys when you were playing the game if you moved your right hand and your left hand ended up moving, or your hand on the left-hand side kept moving. Anyway, that's our Block of the Week segment. I hope you had fun with that, and I'd love for you to see what kind of games you guys can make with this. I've created a studio called Motion Sensing, and please go ahead and add your projects to that. You'll find the description in the YouTube. You'll find the location for that studio in the description for this file, for this YouTube video, and I'd love to see you work on it. Thanks. Okay, guys, something a little different, a pre-taped sequence. I'm trying to do that a little bit. I'm going to be doing that a little bit more in the future. What am I hearing in the background? Does someone have their microphone not? Oh, that was Thane, eh? Okay. Yeah, Thane, you're going to have to mute your YouTube if you want to be connected with the microphone here. Okay, anyway, so what did you guys think of that? Anyone on Discord have anything to say about video sensing at all? You interested in this? You want to make a game about this? Anyone? No?
That actually is really cool.
Yeah, it's fun. What kind of game do you think you can make out of that thing? Oh, mute your YouTube, dude. All right. All right. Something's feeding back here, Thane. Something's feeding back here, Thane. Are you not on your headphones? Okay. All right, anyway, we're having some communications problem with Thane here. So this is a really cool function, and I'd love to see what kind of games you make with this. So I'm going to paste the address for this into the YouTube chat for those of you who are watching live, and into Discord for those of you who are on Discord as well. And please make a game with this technology and share it with us. I will show it next week, okay? I'll do a little showcase and show off some of your work. If anyone wants to make a game using this technology, I'd really love to see what you guys can come up with. So if you're watching this after the fact, you'll find the location of this studio inside the description of the YouTube file as well. So please just go ahead and look for it there. Okay, so while I was working on my Space Invaders game, let me show you my Space Invaders game one more time. So you can see that I have destructible shields here. This is something I had a lot of trouble with, and I gave up on it the first time I was trying my Space Invaders game. And I really wanted to make it work this time, and I did a bit of research and tried to figure out how to do this. At first I was thinking, how do I make these walls destructible? Do I cut up the shields into different pieces and have each piece disappear when it's touched? That's okay, but it also doesn't kind of yield this really rough kind of patchy shape to it as well. So the method I finally came up with, which is very, very clever, it's not me, but I've seen other people use it before, and I finally ended up finding a way to copy it myself, is to basically have the bullet sprite turn itself into kind of an explosion shape and then paint itself on top of that. Now you can't paint on top of sprites. I at first tried to do this with a sprite, and the paint kept going behind the layer instead of to the front of it. So the key to making this work is you can clone these shields or whatever it is that you're using, but you have to clone it onto a background and not onto a sprite. Otherwise, it won't work. You can only paint on a background, basically. So this will allow you to, and so when the bullet hits, it turns into a black sprite that's shaped kind of weird. Let me show you the sprites for my bullets inside this game here. I did a bunch of random sprites, basically. They're all black. They're inside the bullet, well, there's some inside the bomb here, the alien bomb. So you can see that they're kind of, I just kind of drew a random kind of squiggy shape here. And there's a bunch of them. And so every time your bullet hits a wall, it picks one of these 5 costumes at random and then paints it onto the shield sprite and turns it black. And because the bullets are looking for green, if they touch black, they'll just ignore it and go right through. And so this way your shields will actually be destructible. I want to make a game with you guys today where we use this technology, and I'll show you how to make destructible walls in a different kind of game as well. So I'm going to teach you about destructible walls by building a little game with you right now, okay? I have a starter file ready to go. We're making a tank-based game, so it's just a quick tank shooting game. We'll spend about 20 minutes making this if you're interested, and that's really the main project for today. Other than that, not a lot going on here. So I grabbed my graphics just by searching in Scratch for tank sprite, and I pulled it off of this file by Rusanton99. You can see there's a couple of other really nice tank files in here as well. I just grabbed one of these sprites. I'm really more and more grabbing sprites from other players. So many people have put together sprite sheets and sprite packs that there's no use reinventing the wheel for this kind of stuff. There's some awesome tanks and stuff like that. And I just grabbed one of these generic looking tanks from the bottom here and put it into my game. So I'm going to give you guys the starter file that I'm using for this, which is right here. I will paste the address into both the chat windows here. And I will also paste it and I will put it into the description for this YouTube file if you guys are looking for it after the fact. Okay, so let's get into this. So my goal here is going to be to build a simple game where we can drive around with this tank, making it look realistic. We're going to have some sound effects and stuff like that. They're all inside the file here. And we're going to have brown walls that you can draw anywhere on the background that are going to be destroyed every time that you hit them with a shell, basically. So let's go inside and hold it. This is supposed to be the starter file, but I didn't delete the contents of it. Okay, if you guys you're obviously not gonna want to build it along with me here since you have the finished file. I'm gonna delete all these files though and then save the file. So if you snooze, you lose. All right, so here we go. So we're gonna build this from the beginning, and I'm just gonna explain to you how it works. Just looking at the finished file isn't really gonna get you there, so I wanna teach you guys how to make this. So let's start with a green flag here. Oh, by the way, I have a bunch of sound effects in here as well. Let me show you. So here's my graphics. I have a tank, I have a shell graphic, and I have a damage graphic. We could go with different kinds of graphics later on, but this is basically, notice I painted it the same color as the background, and that's going to be important because it's going to paint over this backdrop where I've just drawn a bunch of random walls. I could draw another wall here as well. Just make sure, well, actually they could be any color or texture. It's just going to paint on top of them. Just don't use gray, of course, because that's going to be a bit of a problem because it's going to be invisible against this background. Okay, so notice that my main character here, my tank sprite, let me rename it tank here. It actually contains the graphics for the bullet and contains the graphics for the damage as well. This is a little trick I learned from Jeffrey. Before, when I was making bullets and shells and stuff like that, I always put them into their own sprite, but you can put them into the tank sprite. And I'm going to show you guys how to do that right now. We've done it in a couple... Yes, buddy? Ethane?
I saw, earlier today I saw this game, and when I shot repetitively, it kept showing the tank instead of the bullet.
Really? Sorry, this is somebody else's game? This is somebody else's game?
This is yours.
This is my game?
Yours.
Oh, well, I'm pretty sure this. I've been testing this. It works fine. So let's see what's going on here. Okay, let's see if that glitch appears again. We'll fix it if it appears again, but I'm pretty sure we'll be okay here anyway. Okay, so let's start coding, guys. We're going to put a green flag down on our tank, and we're going to tell it, first of all, now you're going to need your pen option. It should already be loaded on the starter file, but if you don't have it, go to Add Extension and click on Pens. That's going to give you that stamp tool that we're going to be using later. And the stamp tool just basically paints a picture of your sprite on the background. So if I click on Stamp now and then move this aside, you'll see that it's creating copies. They're kind of like clones, but they're on the background. And so if I move something else in front of them, like if I draw a box, you can see that there would be a box in front of it. Everything gets erased with an erase all command. These stamps do not disappear when you click the green flag again. So it will actually remember all the damage that you did to the sprite until it gets that erase all command. It's going to just leave all the damage on the screen here again. So it's very important that we start with an erase all command here so that our map becomes pristine again. And we're going to switch to our tank costume because we do have different costumes that don't look like a tank. So we'll want to make sure we're in the tank costume to start with here. And so let's start with the movement of our tank. So we'll put a forever loop down here. And we're going to do the commands for moving forward first. So we're going to grab an if statement. And I need an and in here as well because we're checking for two things. So the first thing we're going to check for is to see if our up arrow key is going. So I'm going to go to my sensing blocks here, grab a if up arrow is pressed. And I want to make sure that I'm not touching... Oh, I have not touching color black here, but yeah, I think I just built this game quickly this morning. I don't think we actually need that right now, so let's just leave that out of there. We'll just go if key up arrow pressed. I think that'll probably work okay for now. We're going to move 4 steps. So that's going to be my tank speed. Tanks are kind of slow moving, so I think that's a good speed. If you do change that speed, there's a couple of other things that'll have to be changed later in the game too, because I have kind of a momentum system here where your tank keeps moving forward when it has been even after you stop moving, because tanks are big and heavy and they have momentum. Okay, let's do something else here. I'm going to add a couple of other one more if statement here for rotation. I'm going to say if left arrow key pressed. We're going to turn quite slowly, so I'll turn left by 3 degrees. And let's duplicate that and do the next one here. And I'll just, now I could put a turn right here, but I'll just say -3 degrees and turn when I hit the right arrow here. Okay, so this is the basic move. Yeah, buddy?
What's after this?
What's that?
What's after we make this little thing?
This is it. We're making this, and then the lesson's over. So you don't want to. You don't. Okay. Sorry to bore you, buddy. Okay. We'll see you later. All right. So my tank's moving now. Let's have a look at it. Now it moves, but it moves in a very video game, unrealistic kind of way. First of all, there's no sound effects, and really tanks don't just stop on a dime like that. As soon as I stop, it stops. I want my tank to kind of keep rolling forward a little bit when I move, and that's why I've added some extra code in here. So first of all, let's get the sound effects going in here. We want the sound effects to be in their own block of code because every time we come around this loop, it's going to try and restart the sound again. So we kind of have to have the sound parceled off into its own block of code so that the sound doesn't start and stop in a way that doesn't seem realistic. So we're going to have this sound play every time we hit the up arrow. So I'm going to go if key up arrow is pressed. Then, so now we could play the sound. Let me just put a play sound in here. We're going to add something in a second here, but let me go to my sounds. And I'll go play sound until done. And we're going to play the tank moving sound, move sound here. So let's try that out right now. That's actually not bad. I've made the sound nice and short. Now, the problem with that, though, is if I keep moving forward and don't stop, Oh, that's not too bad, actually. All right, so let's just leave that like that. I had some slightly different code in the version that I shared with you guys, but this actually works fine. The key is to make the sound really short, because if it was a long sound, it would, when you stopped moving, it would continue going. So I actually took the original sound, which was quite a bit longer, and cut it short in here by just going over here with a cursor and hitting the delete key. And that made the sound a little bit shorter, and that way when I let go, the sound file just ends itself and we don't have to do anything to stop all sounds or anything to get it stopped. Okay, I'm going to show you how to give the tank a little bit of momentum here so that it keeps moving forward after we've stopped moving. So let's grab a second green flag. Again, this is a movement routine here that we don't want it running all the time. So I've just put it into a separate block here so we can keep it controlled by itself without having to interfere with anything else. So let's grab a forever, control forever. And we're going to see, we have a variable here called speed. So let's set that speed. I did a bit of playing around this, and a speed of 8 seems to work quite nicely. Make sure this isn't my variable, speed of 8. And we're going to inside here say if I'm pressed the up arrow key. So it's a third one that says if up arrow key pressed. I'll just duplicate that one and drag it in there. So we're looking to see for 3 different things to happen: the sound effect, the movement, but we're also going to run this script here that basically is waiting for you to finish pressing the arrow key. So this script isn't going to work until I'm done. So it's going to be activated, but then it's going to sit there and wait. So I'm actually going to use a wait until block here, wait until, and we're going to grab a not. So all this is doing is it's going to sit here and we're going to activate it when we click the green flag, and it's going to sit here waiting until I'm not pressing that key anymore. It won't be activated until I press the key, but then it's going to wait till I unpress it, and then it is going to do whatever I want it to do. So let's go duplicate. Wait until I'm not pressing the green flag. And then we're going to keep it moving forward a little bit. So when I let go, the movement's going to continue. I just have a very quick and simple movement scheme in here. Let's drag a repeat block. I'm going to repeat 8 times because we're moving at a speed of 8. And we're just going to tell it to move at the speed that we set in our speed variable. So let's, under our variables, we'll find the bubble that says speed here. Move speed steps. And then we're going to change our speed by -1. So it'll move 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and then finally eventually stop. Let's see what that looks like. It's a very subtle difference, but when you're playing the game, you'll see it just feels a little bit more realistic. When I stop, it just keeps gliding forward just a little bit more than that. And that kind of catches it up with the speed of my tank motion as well, right? So that to me feels really, really smooth. Now we could do another sound effect when we're rotating here too as well. I actually did download a sound, so let's add that right now. I forgot to add it in the earlier version of the file. So when we're rotating, we'll start a sound here called rotate. And let's see what that sounds like. Start sound, rotate. Okay, so let's try that now. Oh, the problem with that, oh yeah. So again, it's a really long sound. I'm going to trim the size of this sound down so that it ends more quickly, right? I just want a little bit of the sound. Here's the entire sound. Now it's repeating, right? Because it keeps starting over and over again. So we're actually just hearing the first little part of the file until I let go. There's probably a different way that we could do this as well to get the sound effect playing separately, kind of like what we have doing here, right? But I'm not going to bother with that today. We're just going to trim this sound down. We'll get it to something a little bit shorter, like that. All right, there we go. And now, oh, that was my move sound that I just did that to, eh? All right, I was supposed to do it to the rotate sound, and I apologize for that. There we go. All right, so let's see what that sounds like. Start sound. Oh, I somehow removed that block. No, I didn't. Okay, here we go. So let's try playing the game again. Rotate. Now I kind of messed that sound up by shortening it up too much. Shouldn't have done that. That's okay. It's all good. Okay, so now let's do the shells. And so we're going to activate them when we press our space key. So when space key pressed, we'll go when... Yeah, we're actually going to grab a block here that says when space key pressed, and that's going to activate our shell. Let's start a firing sound here. So we'll start a sound called tank firing. Listen to it. That's our sound effect. And then we're going to so quickly change our costume here. We're going to switch our costume to shell, but it's going to happen so quickly that that the tank isn't actually going to disappear. We're going to switch to shell. We're going to create a clone of ourselves. So the clone will be a shell. And then we're going to switch back to the tank again. So we'll switch costume back to tank. This will be so fast that you won't even know it. And then that's good. Now all we have to do is move our shell around. So let's go to our when I start as a clone, which is under control. When I start as a clone. So here's where we're going to start our shell moving forward. So we have a clone of our shell. It's already in the right location because it's right on top of our tank, right? So all we have to do is start it moving now. I'm going to use a repeat until touching edge, basically. So we'll go repeat until, and we'll go to our sensing blocks and grab touching edge. So that'll keep going until it hits a wall, basically. We're just going to keep moving here. I think we're actually ready to have a look at this right now. Let's give it a little preview. There we go, and there goes my shell. Now it turned back into a tank again. We were done. So we're going to have to delete that clone. We're done, right? We're going to add a delete clone in a second here. But first thing I want to do before that is... well, we're going to play a little sound effect to say that the shell has hit. So we're going to start sound, and we're going to play this sound here called shell, and listen to this sound. And that will be the actual shell hitting the wall. And then we're going to switch costume to our damage. Here's where the damage comes in, okay? So let's go and switch the costume. And so it's going to very quickly deke into that costume damage, and then it's going to paint itself. So we'll go back to pen, and we'll stamp it now. And then once we're done stamping, we can delete the clone. We don't need it anymore. So we'll go back to our code. We'll go to our control blocks and go delete this clone. Okay, so let's go play our game one last time here. When green flag clicked, here's my tank. Whoa. It has to detect the color of the wall, right? I'm missing something. Oh, this is where the color detection comes in. I forgot one block here. We do have to detect the brown color of the background here. So repeat until touching edge and or touching color brown, basically. Okay. So let's go to touching color. So I'm going to need an or in there. This is the last step I forgot, guys. So here under touching edge, we'll add an or. So either way, you won't be able to paint when it goes on the edge, but it doesn't matter. It'll be basically invisible. If you have a wall along the edge, it'll make that disappear at least. So or touching. So let's go to our sensing blocks, touching color. Now I'm going to click on this color and try to grab the color, but here's where we get the brown. There we go. So we've got the color brown that we need from our screen now. And now it should detect those walls and stamp down that pattern when I do it. So let's try that one more time. There we go. And you can see that I've got little chunks being carved off of this. I could do another explosion that had shrapnel coming off of the wall to make it more realistic. And notice that once I finish shooting through the wall, once the wall is completely destroyed, I'll be able to shoot right through it, right? So it actually functions like, oh, every once in a while. Oh, here's the problem. If I hit the fire button too fast, that's when it converts back to a tank again. So we're going to have to slow down the firing speed. This is the glitch that Thane was talking about. So we're going to have to fix this if we want our game to function properly. Let's go back and have a look at that. We'll add a timer to our firing. Here we'll say if key, okay, hold it. We'll say when space key pressed. Let's add a can shoot variable here. So I'm going to go make a new variable called can shoot. This is something I do in a lot of games here. So we're going to go set, whenever I hit, we're going to set that can shoot variable to 0, meaning I can't shoot. And then we're going to set a timer here. So let's go to our sensing blocks. We'll go reset timer. And we'll go, after all of these things happen, we'll do a little wait. Or actually, no, we have got to put this whole thing inside inside of an if statement. That's the best way to do this. So we'll put all of this inside here. Oh, and we can't set can shoot inside here. Actually, we're going to put it underneath the green flag. It's been a while since I've done this. Okay, so can shoot's going to be 1 at the beginning. We are going to be allowed to shoot. Then when I press the space key, we're going to say we're going to have all this work only if I can shoot. So we're going to say grab an equal sign here, do if can shoot is equal to 1, then we're allowed to shoot. And what we're going to do is reset the timer here, start the sound playing, switch to the shell, create the clone and everything else. But the next time we come around here, we're going to set the variable can shoot to 0 right here. And so we won't be able to shoot the second time. Right now, this is set up so that I can only shoot once. Let me just show you how that works. So my variable can shoot is can shoot once. I shoot the 1 bullet. Now I can't shoot anymore because my can shoot variable is 0. So what we want to do is not turn this back on again until the timer equals a certain number. So let's go back to our timer. And we're going to just say wait until. So let's go to our control blocks. We'll grab a wait until timer is equal or is greater than. And this is the amount of delay that you want to have in here. So timer is greater than, let's try a speed of 1. Timer is greater than 1. Okay, let's try that out again. Click the green flag. And that variable is not going back to 1 again, because after the timer is done, that's where we flip that variable back again. Sorry, I forgot that one step. So let's go set can't shoot back to 1 again. All right, this should work now. So let's give it a try. So my firing is working. Yeah, and no matter what I do, I can't shoot more than once per second here. And our problem is solved. I might want to make the shooting speed even slower than that. You want to give it time for that sound effect to be over, for the explosion sound effect to be over, basically, before you... Now, if I want this explosion to be bigger, I can just change the size of that graphic, right? I also, what if I want to make the explosion a little bit rougher and more kind of fringy looking? I can go to this damage thing. I'm going to convert it to actually, let's make it a little bit bigger first. So let's just blow up the size before we do anything to it. I'm going to make sure it's centered. And now I'm going to turn it to bitmap mode so that I can put an eraser on it. Let's erase around the edges and do something a little different. You could do something like I did in the Space Invaders game where it's a random shape as well. But let's have a look at this and see if this looks a little bit more realistic. There you go. And you can see that we get kind of much different looking damage patterns now because we have a different shape here. And so my suggestion would be to have a couple of these and have them go through randomly. You'll see them inside my Space Invaders file, and it'll be really cool. So if we were really doing a nice job on this, what we would do is have some random patterns, and we would have a little graphic showing pieces of shrapnel flying off of this wall as they were going and having them disappear. So that would be the next step that we would have to do here. Okay, guys, so I'm not going to do that today, though. I would love to see you guys remix this. If you want to remix this game, you can put it into the student showcase. You'll see the links inside the YouTube file. I would love to see what you guys can do with this as well. So I had fun. If you have any suggestions, guys, for anything you'd like to see in a future live stream, if you have any thoughts or comments or anything else you want to share about what I'm doing here, please drop me an email. I am at info@chromeworks.ca. And otherwise, I am going to log off for today. So I'm going to see you next week. It's 11:45 and 15 minutes. My final, my part 1 video is going to be released. And stay tuned next week for part 2 and eventually part 3 as well of this really great project. Thanks, guys. We'll see you later.